You ever have one of those mornings where the universe decides you're the main character, and not in a good way? That was me, toothbrush dangling, when the world went off like a bomb just next door, shook the windows, knocked over my coffee, sent my dog tearing down the hall like it was Armageddon. Not some little firecracker, either. This was a full-on, wall-shaking, nerve-rattling boom. And then that sharp sizzle, like electricity clawing its way through drywall and every cheap wire in the block. Yeah, I just spit in the sink, wandered out onto the porch with my mug, and watched a pillar of smoke pour from Karen's roof vent. Didn't even flinch. Just sipped my coffee and muttered, "Guess she finally got a taste." If you're wondering how we got here, well, let me back up a sec. About 3 months earlier, my solar array started acting weird. Numbers dropping, 18% off, even though the weather was perfect and my panels sparkled like new teeth. Now, look, I'm not some weekend handyman with a YouTube degree. I used to run a sustainable energy firm before cashing out, so I treat my system like a newborn. Every amp logged, every voltage flicker tagged. So when the math didn't add up, I didn't call tech support. I started a forensic audit, tracked it to a perfect splice in my underground conduit. Someone had tapped my line, branched off with surgeon's hands, rerouted power like they were building a secret grid under my lawn. And right there at the fence, Karen's property. Yeah, that Karen, tornado of floral prints. Vice president of the HOA, queen of sticky notes and anonymous complaints, self-declared guardian of mailbox uniformity, and now, power thief. I didn't confront her. Nope, I played dumb. Rigged a disguised monitor in the sprinkler valve, started logging usage. First, just enough juice to keep the lights on and the fridge cold. But greed's got a metabolism, you know what I mean? Soon she's powering a hot tub. Then Rick, her husband, because of course he's named Rick, installs a Tesla charger. They're siphoning power like it's free, because for them, it was. That's when I got creative. Rerouted a surge buffer with an adjustable transformer. Let me dial up the voltage just on her stolen line. Enough to glitch the appliances. Lights flickering, hot tub sputtering. Front gate refusing to open. Just enough chaos to make her call on the pros. I watched through binoculars as the electrician scratched his head, blamed grid instability. Karen blamed a fictional HOA. Solar program. Started a petition against her own imaginary system. Rick jumped in on the neighborhood app, ranting about satellite interference. Meanwhile, I was logging every device they fired up, because revenge is a dish best served with spreadsheets. But then, of course, a letter shows up duct taped to my shed. The HOA's fining me $600 for unauthorized electrical structures, aka my solar shed, which Karen obviously reported. She's stealing from me and calling in the rulebook. She didn't know I had cameras, or just figured I wasn't bold or smart enough to bite back. She had no idea how patient I could be. So, I started nudging up the voltage, 10, 15, 25 volts at a time. Just enough to make the electronics sing. Motors overheated, circuit boards warped. Rick replaced their fridge compressor, Karen blamed the utility company, filed complaints, went nuclear on customer support. They found nothing wrong. I installed a pulse generator to mimic electromagnetic interference. Suddenly, every neighbor had a theory. Aliens, the government, 5G. Karen organized a town hall meeting. I showed up wearing a shirt that said "Got power?" She didn't get the joke. Rick did. Final step, I set a phase inversion filter, let it hum for 72 hours. Rick put in a top-shelf surge protector, which just amplified the chaos. That's when the server fried, blue smoke curling from their garage. I watched it all from my porch, coffee in hand, my system humming along, Karen screaming sabotage, Rick blaming the HOA. Because you don't steal. From the guy who wrote the manual, you really don't fine him for protecting what you stole. After the fire, the HOA blasted out an email. Community alert. Spontaneous combustion concerns. They warned about unregulated solar and tampering, with a note from Karen playing the victim. Her web was collapsing, and she was scrambling. She even tried going door to door, campaigning for a new rule. All solar setups had to be pre-approved. By her, of course. She made it to my place, shouted from the curb that I'd need to submit paperwork or face legal escalation. I told her, "This property's exempt. You're under review, Karen." Closed the door in her face. After that, their house was basically a crime scene. Every major appliance blown. Electricians quit halfway through. Called the city. Rick tried to pass off their system as off-grid hybrid. City inspector asked for permits. None existed because it was a leech hooked to my conduit. That inspection report was my opening. Called Amir, old friend at the county office. Owed me a favor from way back. Sent him the evidence, every log, every camera clip. You know this is a felony, right? He said. Technically. Yeah. Just want a code violation for now. He set the wheels in motion. And that's how Ernest Dugan showed up. A compliance officer built like a retired tax auditor. Showed up with binders and enough flags to stake a golf course. He inspected both properties, nodded at my legal, permitted shed, then slapped a stop order on Karen's house. Karen stormed my lawn, screaming about harassment. I told her, actually, you've been stealing my power. So who's harassing whom? Rick threatened. It's your word against ours. I just smiled. It's my word, 3 electricians, city reports, and a county officer. So kind of a landslide. Within days, the HOA pulled Karen's title, put their house under 6 months of mandatory inspections, denied their variance to install solar legally. I wasn't done. I installed a directional energy return loop in my shed, rigged it so any new tap would send the surge right back, catastrophic for any would-be thief. Set up a hidden camera. Sure enough, Rick snuck out at 2 a.m. with a shovel, tried to tap the line again. I zapped him with a feedback arc, just enough to send sparks flying. He bolted, left the shovel. Sent the footage to Dugan and the HOA. City pulled their grid connection, pending a criminal investigation. Didn't have to press charges, just watch the lights go out, one by one. But Karen wasn't built for quiet. Within days, flyers went up, save our solar rights. Her mug, Rick with a wrench, claiming they were victims. Most neighbors ignored her. A few retirees asked me about the energy dispute. I shrugged. If they can't keep the lights on, maybe they should try not stealing. Karen pivoted to bureaucracy, filed a complaint accusing me of weaponized solar sabotage. Board dismissed it, but sent a notice anyway. I responded by rigging an LED sign on my shed. Sun's out, scams out. Karen called it visual light pollution. The board didn't care. Rick tried a generator, which nearly set the fence on fire. Fire department shut him down. Karen played the martyr. Scarves, sunglasses, posting on the app that I had a militia-grade solar arsenal. She wrote the state Public Utilities Commission, accused me of running a rogue microgrid that threatened the regional transformer. At that point, I called in a favor from Lauren, an investigative journalist. Sent her everything. She ran a story, Suburban Sabotage, the dark side of neighborhood solar. It went viral. HOA dumped Karen. Rick vanished. Their house hit the market quietly. Still, the saga wasn't done. The house was bought by a shell company, and, wouldn't you know it, a fresh black market inverter showed up, new siphon on my system. This time, I laid a decoy charger. Rigged a capacitor, caught Rick trying to tap it. Sent the evidence to Amir. He called in the State Energy Commission. They rolled a van, scanned the block, caught Rick and the new owner, Devin, red-handed with illegal backfeeds. Karen showed up, howled about solar gentrification. Got slapped with $60,000 in fines, public ban from HOA leadership, and a stack of criminal charges. Did that stop her? Nah. She started a podcast. Yes, a podcast, spinning wild stories about sun elites and solar cartels. Reddit roasted her. Local news did a segment on her downfall, and once, I went on camera, just told the story straight. How a simple theft turned into a neighborhood opera of greed and delusion. And slowly, things quieted down. The podcast vanished. Karen's house sold to a young couple with honest intentions. I watched the sunset with my solar system humming. The grid was stable. And if anyone tries again, well, I'm ready. Voltage is prepped. No warning next time. So, what do you think? Was I right to fight back, or should I have let it slide? Ever had neighbors like this? Drop your stories, opinions, even your wildest HOA run-ins down below. Let's hear what real justice sounds like, you know?